Good morning. It is Sunday morning, and it is a rainy morning, or will be a rainy morning here in Panama City, Florida. Got a big storm coming in, so hopefully I can kick this out. If we lose power or something, it's not a good thing right now for Panama City to get big storms, because I'd imagine only about 25% of the roofs are actually fixed. So lots of blue tarps. So every time we have a big storm, it's not good. More rain into people's houses, things like that. But I got a good one for you today. We got codes to give away. At least I think they'll still work. We have not codes for me. They're actually out there, but I'll let you know let you know what they are because they work for me. We have a TS5 to give away. So we'll give away a TS5, or at least we'll start the giveaway part for the TS5. And what else we got going on? We have we got a new premium coming, or at least it's in common test, and a lot of changes. I've done a couple videos in the recent past about some of those changes, but we're going to go through a laundry list of some of the things that are going to change in 1.5 and some other overall big things that they're talking about changes. So that'll be the majority of what we talk about. Let's get going with the channel news, guys. Grab your coffee. Settle in for a little Sunday pixel tanks. Okay, well, I've got the Hall of Fame called up here at the start of stream news or channel news. And why do I have that? Because you can see over on the left, I'm number 6 in the Hawk 12 on the server. Why am I playing the Hawk 12? I have no idea. I really don't. I have played it almost exclusively for the last 2 or 3 days. Managed to get number 6, so I'm in the top 10 with only a 5,000 PR or whatever they call it when it's just for a tank. Right there. Click on that. Let's see what we got going on. There I am, number 6 at 5,025, and I'm going to keep playing it. What's interesting about this? Sitting at about a 56% win rate. It actually shows a little better. These numbers are kind of strange. See how it says beta up there on player rating? They built this a couple years ago, and they've let it just kind of sit there. So I'm not really sure everything that's going on. There is a way to change when you're looking from and to and all that good stuff. But anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. Running this thing without 6 cents and doing missions, things like that. I just became a challenge at one point because it's so bad. I have enjoyed being bad in this thing. At one point I was at 63%. I got 80 something battles in it. So I may actually do a review on this thing. Although what's funny is I have not found a game where I did well enough where I really wanted to show the gameplay. It's been just kind of solidly decent games with some real potato games thrown in there. And even with that, managing to be number 6 on the server is very, very strange. We're going to run off on our first tangent here, but it's very disappointing that tech tree tank is so much worse than the 4190 GF and the Hawk 30. The 4190 GF, which I like quite a bit, the Hawk 30, which is beginning to grow on me, head and shoulders above the tech tree tank. Now, you're all looking at me and rolling your eyes saying, well, that's no surprise. Okay. Yeah, but that's kind of my point, right? That's where we are. But this particular example of comparisons is about as bad as it gets, because the tech tree tank is so bad and the premium tanks are so good. So kind of crazy stuff. All right, tangent over on that. What else is going on? I'm planning on streaming on. Look what I've done. I've gone crazy here. I'm planning on streaming on the. Ooh, what is it? 18th. I'll kick it out there. Thursday the 18th, next week. That should be my day off. I should be streaming on that day. Look for that in the morning. All right. TS5 giveaway. Was that natural? Did that flow? I hope it did. TS5 giveaway. All right, here's what I want you to do. If you did not finish the marathon, and I know we have just today to go, I want you down in the comments to tell me why. I prefer it to be funny, but if you have some sob story, go ahead and tell me why. If you did not finish the TS5 marathon, you don't have to give me proof. I really don't even care if you actually didn't even try it. But if you played in the last week, you've at least done some of it, I would imagine, unless you're playing tier 5 or less exclusively. Tell me why you did not win it so that then I can pick the best one of those. Leave your in-game name. All right, here's the directions. In-game name and the reason you did not finish the marathon. Those two things are required to win, and I will have Domo credit your account with a TS5, a brand new TS5, and you don't even have to finish the marathon. Really, you don't even have to start, but as long as you have a good reason why you didn't do it, let me know down there. So TS5 giveaway. Invite codes. There's a couple invite codes I want you guys to be aware of. I'll drag them over here. I do not know if these, sorry, not invite codes. I'll get to invite code in just a minute. These are codes. I do not know if these still work. All right, so I'm looking over here at my other screen, but you can try, if you have not already, TW still rocks. I should have the scroll down at the bottom right there. TW still rocks. Tango Whiskey, Sierra, Tango, India, Lima Lima, Romeo, Oscar, Charlie, Kilo, Sierra. Very tricky, right? And the other one is TW feels good. TW feels good. Tango Whiskey, Foxtrot, Echo, Echo, Lima, Sierra, Golf, Oscar, Oscar, Delta. TW feels good. TW still rocks. They worked yesterday. If they don't work, apologies. They've all been used up or they turned them off or whatever the case may be. Okay. Now, last thing for channel news is I am able to build an invite code. So I'm going to get an invite code. It's going to have my name in it, and this will be for new accounts. Do with that information what you will. But what I'm asking you guys is I can put a tier 5 tank, nothing better, premium, some gold, some premium days, and reserves. So my thinking on this is I'm going to build a kind of weekend grind, introductory grind kind of thing. And as I am an American, I'm going to put an American premium tank in it. So I'm planning on the T14, 3 days of premium, 800 gold, 2 1 hour 25% credit reserves, 2 50% XP reserves, and 2 100% crew reserves. For an hour, each of those will be an hour. The idea here is that, hey, come check out World of Tanks for a weekend. You got a weekend free. You're going to play World of Tanks with premium account and grind through some tanks and kind of figure out how the game plays. You know, the first one's free, right? The first one is free. What do you guys think of that? More gold, no premium tank. I could do that as well and just do a bunch of reserves and things. But I really think the premium tank's kind of important because it is an important part. If you are going to go pay to play, a premium tank is kind of integral to that. At least I think it is. T14's pretty good. It's a bit problematic because on occasion you do need gold. But hey, let's teach them that early as well, right? Let me know what you think of that. I'm not going to give you the exact breakdown, but it's only worth X number of gold, so there's not a lot of extra I can pile on. I can remove things and add some things. But just let me know right in there without getting into the total details. Really, it's more about what do you think of the idea of, hey, check out World of Tanks for a weekend. Here's a code, get a new account, do some grinding, check it out, see if you like it kind of thing. Alrighty, that is it for channel news. Let's move on to missions and specials. Lots going on here. And if you like codes, you're going to like this next section because we got codes everywhere. Let us get our shill on. It is time to push World of Tanks. What's in the premium shop? First thing first, this just showed up. This just in. The Fire and Ice. I wonder what that's tied into without really being tied into. I don't know. Fire and Ice. I just love this. Not a single mention of what it's really kind of referring to so they don't get in trouble. What? We just randomly called our special Fire and Ice. I don't know what you guys are talking about. All right. What am I saying? Another tangent. Just went off another tangent. Tier 7 premium tanks on sale, but they're all packages. Okay. 7% off, 6%. This is what I love this. This is the kind of thing that cracks me up with these guys. 7% for the stare. All right. So the monetization guys sat around like, all right, what is the discount going to be? Well, let's have the stare for 7% off. All right. And yeah, and we'll do another tier 7 at 7% off, and then we'll do another tier 7 at 7% off. And then some guy in the back's like, hey, I think 6 is the way to go. And then they argued about it for a while, and then they had a compromise, and that guy got one tank at 6% off. Why? Why is this one 6? Probably, if I was to guess, it's because it's the most popular of the three. Although I don't know, the 1357 might be more popular, so that might not be a good guess. But I'm not really sure. It is the least, oh, here we go. I found it. It's the least expensive by 60 cents or so. So it only gets 6% off. There must have been a break point here between 34.33 and 34.93. So they're okay. Tangent over. Here we go. Let's shill. I'm supposed to be shilling. That did not sound like shilling. That sounded like I was making fun of their monetization, and I would never ever do that. Monetization, guys. Much. Speaking of making fun of monetization, guys, the LEF is in the store, as is the Mutant. You might recall that both those tanks were promised to never be sold again. I'm just going to put that here for you guys to consider. I've talked about this in the past. I would prefer they just don't make stupid statements that they clearly have no intention of following, or that years down the road they might break because monetization's a thing and that's one of your pieces of content in your game and you're probably going to want to sell it. I hope they've learned their lesson. I feel bad that I don't like that they broke it, though. I would prefer that, because of the massive amount of content that they have, that they would hold to their guns on some of those things and not have sold them. But here we are. If you want an LEF, you better buy it, because I don't think it's going to show up very often. Who knows, though? It could be around forever after this point. I don't know. Reference earlier discussion about things they do that they say they want. Mutants here as well, so if you want that, go for it. There's actually some pretty good tanks in the store right now. Last week was pretty weak. Right now you got some good ones. These are all good, by the way. All these tier 7s, the stare's okay. It's a TD and it's relatively stealthy, but it does have a turret. These three are fantastic. These are all great, especially the two scouts. The Type 62 and the 1357. You can't go wrong for fun with a premium scout. I mean, they just are a really good tank. I don't even know what the heck I was trying to say there. They're both good tanks. I can English. Let's see what's going on here. Lots of stuff as usual. Vehicles. What more vehicles can we sell? What can I sell you guys? Hey, go buy a 4190 mm war chest. Okay, every one of those you sell, I get $50. That's not even close to true. I get nothing. That's a good premium. Man, it's one of my favorite tanks, if not my favorite tank in the game. Good premium, kind of weird, kind of the prototype of the wheeled tanks. Really fast, really hard to hit. The ELC 90. It is a specialist, so it's not for everybody. T25 is a solid medium, not amazing. This is just a meme. Crazy front armor. Somewhat overcome by power creep at this point. I don't have a Lowe's, I can't talk to it, but if it's a Sherman, so I assume it's pretty close to the rest of them. There it is, the LEFH, and it goes on. Here's the TS. I'm at 60%, by the way. We'll talk about that in a minute on how far I got. So some pretty good tanks in there. Let's see if we have any specials that are different than featured and important to know about. Oh, they've got this Houston, we fixed a problem, which is a pretty good deal. By the way, there's a lot of stuff on sale. We'll get to that in just a minute. This is part of it. These are all kits, large kits and large fire extinguisher or auto fire extinguishers. 50 of each for 15 bucks. If you're a person who buys these for money, then that's a great deal because it's 50% off. Just so you're aware, you can buy these for credits. So, I don't know if you knew that. Do what you want with your own wallet, but I just throw that out there as information. wonder if there's any of you who don't know that. There's probably not a single person watching this that does not know that. All right, that was it for the shilling. I believe if we go back to the premium shop. Uh-oh, we've gone off the rails. We've gone off the what? Can I just get to the standard? Sheesh. Okay, whatever. Clicking is hard. Let's move on. All right, on the missions, and as a side note, realize you've got to put this code in if you're going to do the anniversary missions, all right? I love World of Tanks is the code. I hope you've done that. You're behind the power curve. I'll show you why in just a minute if you haven't done that. Also, the fire and ice thing, which is right here. Click on fire and ice. There's another code, and you're going to pick a team. And you're going to pick Team Fire or Team Ice. And then whoever gets the most picked, they win and they get some goodies. I hate these. I hate these team. One side wins it and gets the stuff, and the other side loses. I don't know. It drives me a little bit crazy. But I picked Team Fire, just so you know. There's a lot of chatter on the forum about people saying, all right, let's all get together and pick the one team, or people saying, I'm going to wait till the last minute and pick the one that seems like it's going to win. Yeah, all valid options right there, or techniques. I just picked Fire because I can't be bothered, and those kind of things drive me crazy. So let's move on here to what is happening. And you can see that I am up to 7. So I've got to 7. I've got my 60% discount, and I'm almost done with 7 actually. I will not finish this. I'm not going to play that much today. I mean, it would be another 2 battles at least. 40. That's probably 30 battles, 70, and another 50. I'd have to have 120 battles today. So this was a relatively easy if you played quite a bit. Not nearly as grindy. I won't say that. It was less grindy. It was still pretty nearly as grindy as any of them. It was less than the one before. Just based on sheer numbers of battles you needed to do. Those numbers I just gave you were talking about the one for, what do they call it, dedication or something like that? The grind version. See, I can't even find it now. What is it? Commitment. For the commitment, not the mastery one. So you can do it for a lot less, quite a few less if you play tier 9 and 10 and do well. All right, so that's where I am on that thing. Remember, name, your in-game name, and why you didn't finish the marathon. And you can win a TS5. You can do it. All right, so here we go. Tournament missions are the same. This was... It says get prepared for frontline mode, but it's the anniversary missions. Is that what it said on the main page? Was the anniversary a get prepared for frontline mode? I don't think it was. I think this is the anniversary mission, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. Remember I told you you're behind the power curve? Here's why. Because you can only do this one 3 times, and you need to get this, to get the camo, you have to have done this 9 times, I think, or six times. Yeah, 6 times. So you can miss a day. You can miss a day, or you could do, let's do math in public, you do 3, and then 2. No, you'd have to do 3, 3, and 3, because you can only do 3. Wait, you only need 6. Hold on. 2, 2, and 2. I think that will work. 2, 2, and 2 would get you there. But wait a minute, no, but you're not completed. Never mind. You do have to do 3 in one day. This is hard. This is hard. It really is. Anyway, you have to be in the top 10 5 times, and you have to do that 3 times, and that's 15 times. So you need 15 games a day for 2 days. 15 on one day. You could have gone 15 on Friday, and then skip the day, take a rest, take a knee because you're tired out, and then do 15 on Sunday. Or you could do 15 on Friday and just push through on Saturday, and then you could do another... All right, is that shtick old? It is. I think I wasted a lot of time. Hey, there's Fire and Ice. All right, so that's what you'll get if you put the Team Fire in. See, I'm fighting for Fire. That's because I'm on Team Targaryen and Stark and the rest of them, right? I'm for the living. If you're for the dead, ooh, did I give away what they're trying to tie into? I think I did. All right, big day. It's coming up, man. Today, I got a big storm coming in. Tangent time. I'm going to go to a food festival at a friend's restaurant. Gonna be cool. Lots of great food. He's an amazing cook. Yeah, he's an amazing chef. Never mind. He'd probably be insulted if I called him a cook. That's like a big difference. Any of you guys actually chefs? And if you got called a cook, would you be irritated? Probably you're going to write down and say, I wouldn't be irritated, you know, but in your mind you would be, right? Because professionally you're a chef, not a mere cook. You're not flipping burgers at Good Burger, are you? You're a chef. Anyways, going to go do that. Bit of a bummer, though, because it starts about 2. Hopefully the storm is done. It's supposed to be. It's going to be tight because it's got a lot of outdoor seating. And then goes for about 3 or 4 hours. And then I think Game of Thrones is at 7:30 tonight for us, Central, or 7 or something like that. Oh, did I give it away again? Fight for Fire. That was a good tangent. I'm so excited for that. You know, I don't watch a lot of TV. In fact, I don't know if I watch any other TV shows. I did watch American Idol last night. All right, that's kind of a guilty pleasure. Here's the thing about American Idol this year. There's some amazingly good talent, more than I think I've ever seen, especially more than like 8-10 years ago when they would just actually find people off the street. They have very clearly vetted some of these people and probably fed them into the system. Because reality TV really isn't reality anymore. Howsoever, there are some pretty amazing singers on that. So there you go. Something about Guido. He watches American Idol. Oh man, where were we? American Idol, Game of Thrones, Fire and Ice. Play Your Tank Class Right is still there. Remember when I talked about the other week that I was worried codes would have to be put in every week or whatever? That's not true. It looks like it's for the month. So your Play Your Tank Class Right and your 110E4 on track stuff, you just did it once and it stayed there. So, okay, that's good. There's a lot of anger on the forum about these codes. I will be interested to see what they do about this, whether they continue with this or they change tack when we get to a new month. So stand by for RAM on that one. I do not know what is going to happen there. All right, so that's all the missions. There's not really much else to talk about there. Let me check my script here. Yep, TS5 Marathon. I gave you the bonus codes. Oh, I went out of order. I already gave you the codes. The feels good and still rocks thing. But okay, that's fine. We're going to roll with it. I won't even edit it. We're just going to go. Subjects du jour is next. Man, that was so natural. Okay, people, before we get to the meat of the subjects du jour, we're just going to do a quick little blurb here. Normally, I don't report too much on upcoming tanks, but I am going to report on this one because it's a light tank, and I like light tanks, and it's interesting because it's a British light tank. You may note that the British do not have a light tank line. They have some light tanks down at the bottom end, where a lot of nations have light tanks that are sort of light and not really light kind of tanks, but a true scout type of light tank they do not have because they don't have a line. Now they have a premium coming up, the Senlac PT2. Look at the picture of it. It's a goofy rear mounted, like, why do the British design such goofy looking tanks? Well, that's not true. I was going to say most of the British tanks don't really look like tanks, but that's not true because when you get to the top end, the Conqueror, the FV and all that stuff, they look like proper tanks, but a lot of their tanks are very strange looking, especially the earlier to mid-model stuff. This one has a little turret in the back, so we'll have to see. There's some stats there. I'm not going to go through those, but kind of excited for that, and I'm hoping that they actually get a light tank line. That would be cool. So your next overpowered light tank appears to be the Senlac. All right, what is next? We are going to get rid of that, and we will go to, what do I want to do first? We're going to go to, hey, let's talk about the patch notes for 1.5 first, and then we'll get into the more overall stuff. Some of this stuff is covered in both. All right, so we're going to take a look at this and see what we got. Alrighty. So, Watt Premium Account is the first thing they talk about. I've already covered this. I'm getting an invite here. I decline you. Just kidding. Well, I do actually decline you, but it's not because you're not a good person or nice. It's just that I'm kind of busy right now. I'm sure you're fantastic, lovely person. And where was I? Watt Premium Account. We covered that already, so I'm not going to go over that too much. But in case you missed that video, the genesis, or the general idea, not the genesis, but the general idea. Actually, the genesis is interesting as well. But the general idea is that your World of Tanks premium account will become better and you'll get more stuff for it. However, you will not be able, how did it go? You will not be able to buy, I don't think you buy the premium account for gold. I'm gonna have to, well, hold on, we're gonna have to dig into this, because if you're somebody who hasn't seen the other video, then I may have just confused you. There's a reserve stock, which means as you play, you build up 10% credits of the credits that you made, and they put it in a little piggy bank, and once a week they give it to you. But you can only make 750,000 total. So you're getting extra credits, basically, for this new account type. Platoon bonus. If you're in a platoon, you're going to get plus 15% credits. If you platoon with somebody who does not have the World of Tanks Premium, the new version, they will get plus 10%. Not bad. Manageable XP bonus, which means you get to the end, you get that card that comes up and says how you did. There'll be a big button there, and you can actually increase your bonus by ×2. And it will stack with your daily bonus or whatever special bonuses are going on. So you can pick the game that you did well in and boost your bonus on it, boost your XP bonus. That's pretty cool. 5 times a day. Premium missions, you will get special missions that are only for World of Tanks premium people. This special premium, whatever they're calling it. Watt premium account, Watt PA, all right? You will have one more slot for map blacklisting. So free to play 1 slot, Watt premium account, Watt PA 2 slots, 2 tanks that you can, 2 maps that you can blacklist. Players receive the same number of days of regular premium account in the form of World of Tanks premium account on release day. So when they release it, 1.5 was when this is going to happen. It's relatively soon. That it's in common test right now. On that day, whatever you have up here, it's covered up by, yeah, my days are covered up by my this thing right here. But anyway, whatever days you have there, I happen to have 471, they will automatically be turned into Watt premium account days. Okay. Both versions of the premium account will exist together. However, Watt premium account will be active in the game client. Regular can be active only if Watt premium account expires. I have no idea what that means. I'm not going to break it down. My brain hurts thinking about it. You will still be able to buy the premium that covers all of their titles, but it won't have the Watt premium account stuff. And there is a grace period, so it's a little bit wonky. I'm not going to get into that right now. Related game client. There's some game client changes, improving it. No need to go through that. We'll see what happens there. They're having some changes to ranked battles. I talked a little bit about that. The role experience is the one I really covered quite a bit on that video, because the idea here is that they are making a list of actions that they believe certain tank classes should do, and then they're giving them extra experience if they do that. So I kind of came down hard on that. It's 4 ranked battles only right now, but this is probably a test bed for changing the XP system around a little bit. You will still get XP for doing a lot of damage and assist and all this stuff. I think this is something they're trying to put on top to sort of tighten it up a little bit. The concern, let's just dive into it just a little bit, because I've been reading a little bit more about it. I did come down a bit and say I haven't seen the problem they're talking about, but the complaint was that people like in an IS-7 would do not much and be really high on the XP list, and probably higher than I would have imagined in the top 3, top 5 kind of thing. And when you're worried about chevrons going up and down, that's where people got their panties in a bunch a little bit right there. But they would say things like they didn't do anything, you know. Well, I mean, did they or didn't they? I don't know. That's hard to tell. Were they on a corner, holding a corner so the rest of the team could fight, doing that IS-7 thing where they hold down somewhere with 5 tanks messing around with them? That's hard for the game to figure out. I think it's also hard for players to figure out necessarily, especially unless they go back to the replay and kind of look at what everybody was doing and how the fight flowed. If that is a problem, let's tweak it. But it seems to me you could tweak the normal numbers so that an IS-7 didn't get that much experience for doing not much. And I'm only picking on the IS-7 because that was the example. I'm sure there were other situations in tanks where that was happening. So I will reserve judgment. What I don't like is the verbiage of them determining roles for tanks. that's something I've talked about quite a bit, and I don't think it's a good idea because it really tends to get people doing things like, I'm a TD, my role is to sit in the bush. Well, maybe not. Depends on a lot of things. That's my concern there. Excluded maps is coming. We already talked about that. So you will do that in 1.5. Remember, when playing in a platoon, the maps excluded by the platoon commander have the priority. So yours don't matter. So if you excluded Himmelsdorf and you get in a platoon with the commander and he's only excluded Malinovka, then you may end up on Himmelsdorf. Grand battles cannot be excluded. And excluded maps can be changed when the 4-hour cooldown time elapses, only every 4 hours. So you can't chase maps and keep on banning things. I don't know what their map rotation is. It seems to me like it's around 4 hours. I wonder if those two are sort of synced for that reason. Vehicle customization. Now paints can be applied to vehicles of all tiers. That's pretty cool. I haven't tracked that too much. It's kind of funny. You get into the exterior button and you start digging around in different tiers, and some tiers can put things on and some can't. And it's really mixed up right now. It's not across the board with everything. So they're slowly putting that in. I wouldn't even begin to try to sort out what is what. Just click on your exterior tab and figure out what you can do and what you can't do. All right, here's the interesting one. Stun mechanics are going to change. They're going to, the additional stun duration decreases so that you get hit and you get that crazy stun. That's actually going to decrease. Super heavy spall liner decreases duration of repeated stuns by 20%. The heavy decreases it by 10%. So spall liners will do a little bit more for stun. Yeah, there's some more minimums. The damage at the edge of the burst has been changed from 0.15 to 0.05. You know those times when you're behind that building and they just kind of lob it next to you and you get killed? That may change a bit. That may change a bit. At the edge, I'm not really sure what the damage at the edge. Interesting. I don't know what that means. You know, like at the edge or in a certain amount at the edge, certain, you know, from 95 to 100% of the burst. I don't know. Doesn't say. But we may see a little bit less of getting nuked behind a building or a rock by a near miss kind of thing when you're low hit points, you know, and you're like, man, that really landed far away, but it still got me. Some vehicle changes. These are all, looks like all arty stuff. Yep, they definitely, look at this, reduced burst radius, reduced. Yep, 5% seems to be across the board. The Swedish mediums will show up. So we're going to get a tier 8, 9, and 10. Split off from the Leo. So if you want to be ready for that, you need to be playing your Leo, building up free experience on the Leo, or experience, not free experience. So remember to go up here. You can't see it, but up on the top left where your crew is, and unclick the accelerate crew training so that you can build up experience on the Leo so it's ready to go to unlock the UDES. I think it's 14 Alt 5 will be the first one. They are going to have some of that hydraulic suspension thing going on. So it can switch, I think, from siege to travel mode as I remember. Don't quote me on that. I think that's how it's going to work. They are going to also change the heavies. So they're moving the heavies around a little bit, and they're taking a shell away, but decreasing the reload time. So you can be in the fight a little bit more, but you're not going to quite have as much, not even, well, I said quite, you're not going to have as much burst damage because you're losing a shell. For example, the Kron is going from 4 to 3. So there you go. Some of the gun handling is getting a little bit better. I think this is all shell stuff. Maybe there is, oh, never mind. Doesn't look like any gun bonuses, but you are getting an alpha bonus, or yes, alpha bonus. 400 to 440. Lose a shell, 400 to 440, slightly faster reload. I thought they were giving it a gun buff, but I don't see anything in there about that. The ML2, same thing. Dropping it, decrease reload times. Damage is changed from 320 to 360, and then the bigger gun from 400 to 440. Looks like a 510 to 530. I didn't even know they had that. What is that? Interesting. That must be, those must be HE shells. All right, Emil 1, similar thing going on. Okay, so the Emil 1 did get a gun buff. There's some dispersion buffs. No, those are not buffs. Those are nerfs. Never mind. Increased dispersion. What? It needs a derpier gun? Increased dispersion during movement. Well, that's dopey. Okay, well, there you go. Crazy. The Type 5 is getting some changes. Increasing dispersion, or decreased dispersion. The whole traverse is faster, but the guns are getting a little bit nerfed. They're actually introducing a Hesh round into this thing. I don't know. I think they're also taking away the gold HE round, as I recall. So the Type 4 is getting a similar treatment. So the general idea here is you're gonna have less of the getting blapped for 400 to 500 in the side as you're side scraping. It'll now be more like 200 to 300. That'll matter. All right. And that is the 1.5 common test stuff. I thought there was a map in there. Maybe I missed it. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to this. Okay. There was a stream with some developers involved, and they got into a lot of the changes that are coming up and some general kind of big picture stuff. So we're going to look at this as we go. Watt Classic. Yeah, who cares? What's next for artillery? Let's see. We aren't going to remove stun mechanics altogether. So they're doing the change in stun mechanics, and you saw that. I just talked about it on 1.5, so that's some of the stuff. Step 1 is coming to an end. We'll delay steps 2 and 3 until further changes are necessary. So the first step is lowering the effect of stun. Let's see. I don't know where step 3 is. Okay, that's when we plan to fix the let's see, where is it? Well, it doesn't really talk about it, does it? Oh, should this first step work, there it is, we'll proceed to the second one, and then there's the third and most drastic step that involves returning AP shells. The latter, however, will work differently than regular AP. All right, so they're still planning on some changes. I've actually come out and said the artillery players are kind of getting the hammer right now. That seems to indicate that if things go well, they may increase some other capabilities on the arty to include returning the AP shell, which they said they were going to do differently. So unknown what that's going to look like. Will you revise personal battle missions simultaneously with arty rebalance? It's impossible to do those two things simultaneously. I don't think it's impossible. Could be a translation thing. It might not be smart. I don't think it's impossible. I probably would have shifted them a little bit. If you just gave less stun, then decrease the stun requirements for your missions a little bit. Now, that being said, frankly, the artillery missions are the easiest by far. They might be a little harder now. In fact, they may have been balanced by decreasing the stun because they were so bloody easy overall. But anyway, some may disagree with me. Will you reduce the number of arties per battle? No, we won't reduce the number of SPGs per battle. Statistically, 10% battles are played without arty at all. Around 30% have one SPG, another 32, and another 33. Let's say we then they go on. Anyway, they're not going to do it. Our plans to tackle team damage issues. We tried it disabling team damage in frontline, and now plan larger testing. So that's what I reported on earlier. They're definitely going to do that in ranked battles. It's coming, folks. We are going to have no team damage. Let's go on tangent. Have a drink of coffee, settle in, and let's have a short tangent. This is something I've been thinking about quite a bit. I did a video and I talked about this as well when we talked about the role experience thing, because I also covered the team damage thing for the new ranked battles season that's coming out. And there's a lot of people who don't like the team damage, which I do understand. So I was thinking, all right, what really is it? What is it that I like about the team damage system? What is the meta side of it? Why is it important to the game? And I went back to the beginning of when I started playing the game. And then I thought about, how did this game get so huge? In a short time, about 2 or 3 years, really. How did it just completely explode? What were the characteristics of World of Tanks that drew so many people to it? It was the anti-FPS game. it was a shooter with tanks, but it had RNG. It was hardcore. There were no respawns. There was no hit point recoup. There was no medic that ran around and improved or recovered your hit points. You could fix a crew member, but you can only do it once. Remember before the cooldowns? Once. That's it. You could fix one piece of equipment once. That's it. Hardcore. Mistakes mattered. No respawn. Big tier. At first, it was every tier together. Then we got down to 3 or 4 tiers, whatever it was when I started. I want to say 4 tiers. And it was tough, man. You had to want it. You had to figure this game out. There were times when you just got stomped on, but it was strangely addicting because of that, because it was hardcore PvP. Yes, it was a pub match. There was no organization, but there were 2 teams, hardcore, mistakes mattered. And part of that was the team damage system. If you got in someone's way, you drove in front of them, you weren't paying attention, your SA was bad locally, you could shoot your friend. And it mattered. It mattered in the game because every hit point that disappeared for somebody mattered. It never came back. And if you made a mistake and shot your own team, then you just hurt your own team. And you had to figure out how to not do that. Well, this game just exploded with that kind of game mechanic. That's what the game was built on. That's what it was known for. It's what it was built on. It's what brought the majority of the early people in, if not most, if not everyone, really. I mean, I remember I was playing another game called Darkwind, and it's got extremely hardcore PvP. You know, permadeath, the whole 9 yards of characters. Now, it's persistent, but there's no recovery. It's a really tough game as far as that goes. And I had a guy I knew that I played that game with, and he's like, hey, you got to check out this tank game because it's a lot like what we're doing, but it's in tanks. And it's hardcore. And if you suck or get in a bad position or do something wrong, you're immediately punished and erased from the battlefield and you're out. And I went, you know what? That's interesting. It is. What I liked about World of Tanks where they changed that up a little bit, whereas in this persistent world, if you lost a guy, it took forever to recover. In this one, you went back to garage, you fixed the tank, and you picked another tank, or you waited till that one came back and you did it again. So that you could, even though it was punishing and it was difficult, and mistakes did matter, 5-10 minutes later they didn't matter, and you just tried it again. So the reason I bring all that up is team damage is one of those elements, and there's others involved that have gone by the wayside that we are slowly getting rid of as we kind of put the training wheels on the game. And this really started when they started hiring some of these guys that were from the FPS world, and that was kind of their world, and those were the game mechanics that they had on very successful games that people like, that a lot of people playing World of Tanks like, and they have these concepts and things like no team damage. What else? I'm trying to think of what else is going on in here recently. We're putting the training wheels on. Oh, it'll come to me. But anyway, it'd be more powerful if I had more examples. But I think you can probably think of some, even though my brain has stopped right here. Limiting the tier spread. All right, that's one as well. The team damage and all that. And it just feels like they're walking away from some of those things that made the game great. Now you may go, you know what, Guido, that's fine, because it's making it greater. And that's cool if that's how everyone feels, or how people feel. Everyone doesn't really matter whether it's everyone or not. That's cool, but I think you've lost a lot of players along the way who didn't like that they were walking away from those things. And I think you have to realize that's the strength of the game. That's the core gameplay, hardcore PvP, with where mistakes matter. And the further you walk away from that, I think the more you lose the actual concept of World of Tanks as it was to begin with. And maybe that's good riddance for some people. For me, it's not really. Will any one of those little things make me walk away? No. But eventually, maybe, if it gets to the point where it's just such a big padded room. 6 Sense, there's another one that just came to me. Let's give 6 Sense to everybody. But what happened to the hardcore, hey, grind your crew, get your guys better, and that's an important skill. You know, let's tangent again. We're off on another, I'm going to tangent my tangent. The issue with 6 Sense is not that everyone should have 6 Sense. It's that it's so important because you haven't fixed your skill system and made other skills important. There's 5 or 6 skills that simply do not matter, that have been here for 4 or 5 years, and you've never touched them. So now everyone's like, oh, we got to give 6 cents to everyone because it's so important. Well, let's make it less important, or make the others more important, so that now it's a decision that you have to make. All right, tangent over. Where were we? Goodness gracious, that took a long time. Gold shell ammo prices. You promised to change a year ago, yet nothing happened. Within around 2 months, we'll test gold shell rebalances in Sandbox. So this is we're going to reduce damage for gold shells. I'm not, we're going to leave that one for now. I'm not too excited about that. For me, it's simply a matter of bringing the gold shells pen down a lot so that it's a slight advantage and not a huge advantage, right? So add 20 pen to a gold shell with the same cost or maybe even more, so that you're like, all right, I'm going to go for that extra oomph, but I'm really going to pay for it, and it's not going to be so lull pen anymore. That would require probably an ammo or a armor rebalance across the board, and that may be why they don't want to do it. That's a big undertaking with 500, 600, whatever it is, tanks that they have in the game. But given an unlimited amount of time and manpower, that's how I would fix it. Probably a no-go, really, at this point. Let's see. Ammo rebalance will lead to battle setup changes. How we regulate it. Yeah, that's a good point. So that's kind of what I was just talking about. First, we'll need to see how they'll change. That's what we'll do in Sandbox. Oh, lordy. I've talked about this in the past. Sandbox and test servers are horrible for testing balance. They test... Now, so what they've done is they've tried to make Sandbox more of a balanced tester, as opposed to the common test and super test, which are really technical testers just to make sure all the technical stuff works. Taking balance information from any of those kind of servers is bad, because it does not represent what the player is going to do with it out in the public. I liked when they tested the FL10 thing, gave it to community contributors and some of their employees, and actually took test data from actual pub play. Granted, a lot of those were very good players, so again, skewing that data, but still a whole lot better than the YOLO spastic Sandbox and common test arenas. Sandbox may be a little better for it because it's people, in theory, who are fairly invested in making the game good. It's by invite. They can kind of control who's in there, but still, you've got those issues. All right. Blacklist is in the finishing development. Yeah, it's just saying, yeah, we're going to blacklist. We're going to give you a blacklist capability. Let's see. Map blacklist can't happen with the current matchmaker setup. So first we need to revise matchmaking, which they've already done. I have no idea why it couldn't be done, but all right, that's fine. Doesn't matter because we have the new matchmaking. Mods and anonymizer. This is talking about blocking XVM during a match so that you cannot see people's colors, and in theory magically will reduce toxicity in the game, and everyone will be happy. Now they're not claiming that. It says nothing like that. But there are people who very much believe that if you only removed the stats part of XVM in a game, then a large portion of toxicity would go away. Well, when you took away cross-team chat, a lot of the toxicity went away. That left your own team to berate you. But it's not going to change. It really isn't. As a matter of fact, it's going to open it up a little bit, and here's why. Because if you have XVM and you start yapping at a purple player about something, no one's going to listen to you for the first part, for the most part, and you're probably not going to, if you're bright red, unless you're just a complete toxic troll. We'll get to that in a minute. You're probably not going to berate a purple player. More than likely, you're going to purple player say, "Hey, they made a mistake." I'm making generalizations here. If everyone is just gray and you don't know who's who, then people are going to feel more free to just put on blast anyone that they want doing whatever it is that they don't want them to do. The point of that is that, colors or not, toxicity is going to exist, and you get some kinds of toxicity with the colors, and you're going to get other kinds of toxicity without the colors. I'm using that word. I hate it. I've talked about that before. It's not really toxic if someone calls you a name in chat. I'm sorry. It isn't. It's not. You just got called a name on the internet. Get over it. Right? Ignore it or blast them back or do whatever you want to do, but stop crying about it. Now, I get it. There are 14-year-olds that play the game. The civil society requires that if you're going to have a lot of freedom to spout whatever you want, that you self-regulate and you don't do that. That's the bottom line here. But it's a game. This is not the public arena. Freedom of speech doesn't matter here. You know, if they really wanted to reduce toxicity, if they wanted to zero out toxicity in their matches, they would remove chat and just leave pinging. And then we'd all cry about ping spam. But seriously, if you really wanted to do something about it, if you were actually serious, like you're thinking, you're the game developer, you're like, oh my gosh, I really got to do something about this toxicity. It's hurting my heart, all these comments people are making, and they're being racist, and they're being meanies, and he called them a dumbhead. Man, if you're really that worried about it, just remove chat overall and leave the ping spam. And then we'll just have that little bit of toxicity. The kids' games, for little kids, that's what they do. They don't allow you to chat in because goobers will get in there and say ridiculous stuff. There's a lot of liability for that. That's the bottom line there, as far as I'm concerned. I don't run XVM. You've seen me play. I mean, all my replays, all my streaming. I don't run it for lots of reasons that have nothing to do with toxicity or not liking the win chance or whatever ridiculous stuff people whine about on a third-party mod. If you don't like it, don't use it. I don't like you using it. Oh, I see. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. All right. That was another tangent. Voice chat in game. We didn't work on it in the last few years. Oh, you think? Because of two things. A lot of third-party solutions. We have fully outsourced this to a provider. Oh, interesting. So maybe they will try it. I don't know why you would want. I don't know why you would want it in game. It's just more data going over your lines. Like they said, there's a bazillion. Not that it's much. I mean, obviously you can make a voice program that doesn't take up much bandwidth. All the third-party guys do it. I don't know. That seemed like a dead letter. I don't even know why. Are people talking about that, or is there a push that we got to have in game? It's pretty funny if you use it though. It's really bad. Esports. They admitted esports didn't work for them. They tried to go off on their own. Nobody's going to add this as an esport to their docket with that much RNG, and RNG is central and integral to the game for lots of different reasons. Maybe not as much as we have, but still it is. So they got rid of that, and that was an expensive proposition for them. You know, running a whole esports division. Holy cow. Relatively, anyway. So what they said is, we come to realize CCs, YouTubers, streamers, we get way more bang for our buck, and that's where they're concentrating their money. I think that's a good idea for them. Wheeled vehicles and random. This was interesting to me. We're working to adjust frontline to wheeled vehicles and swift light tanks. Changes will be rolled out in a separate cluster for testing. Should they work out, we'll introduce them for all other clusters to a separate cluster. So somebody's getting it first, I guess. For random battles, there's not enough stats for top tier wheeled tanks yet. Well, if there's not enough stats in random battles, how are there enough stats in frontline? Okay, maybe that's not what they're saying there, but I don't know. We'll continue gathering them and watch closely. The SPG rebalances in 9.18 taught us to accurately measure response to different audience segments, in-game behavior, and stats. The change mechanics will not be brought back. Wheeled vehicles won't get nerfed. Ooh. Won't get nerfed until we gather enough stats to prove it's necessary. Well, well, well. And we have a premium, don't we? We have a premium wheeled tank, and they're talking about potentially nerfing or changing mechanics or something. This could get interesting. This one could get interesting. I talked about this, the wheel tanks, on, I think it was on a stream. I think I've come to the realization that they're not really good for the game. I love playing them. I do. I do really well in them. They're fun. There's no doubt about that. The game engine and the game mechanics break down at the tier 8, 9, and 10 wheeled vehicle. They're too fast. It doesn't work. And I don't know if it's a technical issue or what, but the crazy bounces you get from those things are almost unbelievable. Now, I think it's because they're flying around and they're always moving and their angles are changing so much. I don't know how their coding is and what they use for their physics and stuff, but anecdotally, right, this is completely out of Guido's rear end. I really feel like there's something not working with them. I'll tell you one thing that's not working with them. I have a hard time hitting them. And I still have pretty decent hand-eye coordination, but I'm getting on. I'm old by any means. Stop it. I am not. But I have a hard time hitting them. And as good as I am, it's not easy. And auto aim really struggles. Auto aim with a regular tank is going to shoot behind him most of the time. So it's difficult to hit them. I think their speed is at the top end of what this game is designed for, and it breaks down at that top end. That's my opinion of the wheeled tanks. I don't know what the fix is. I'll tell you one thing that needs to happen is they need to get slowed down a lot more when they get a wheel hit. A lot more. They actually decrease the amount of time they're slowed down. They need to become more vulnerable when they get hit, because this screaming out and circling through 5 tanks and taking one hit and then getting away kind of thing, that's bad for the game. Good for people who like to do it, and granted, I'm talking out both sides of my mouth. I do enjoy driving them, but I think as a net result, they're kind of bad for the game. We'll see where that goes. Rebalance of the Type 4 and 5 and the FV. We talked about that. Actually, I didn't talk about the FV, but the FV is getting its gun, I think, nerfed just a little bit. Crew training. This was designed to avoid storing all data on players' crews and tanks, which is pricey and won't be in high demand. I don't know what that means. High-level content. What to do when you finish the game. Oh, that's where Guido is. Unlocked and upgraded every tank to top modifications. Within 2 years, we'll present something that would satisfy those who finish the game. The reworked ranked battles will become a regular event mode. That's interesting. All right, so something coming. I've talked about this too in the past. This game is cool because I don't think it really needs end tier content. It needs at tier 10 or whatever. It needs to have end tier everywhere for all the tiers. Let's figure out who the best lull tractor driver is. Let's figure out who the best tier 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 driver is. That's why I think they really need to dig into their Hall of Fame and improve that, and make monthly contests on who's the top of whatever tank. You know, and wicker those contests around the best DPG, the best win rate, the best experience rate, the most shots, whatever. Well, shots is probably bad because people just shooting the walls, but you know what I'm saying, right? Improve the Hall of Fame and make that not necessarily a ladder system, but a reward system for being the best or the top 100 or whatever it is. They did that. Remember that? They did that about a year ago, I want to say, top tanker, and it was great. People loved it, and then it just went away. It is such an obvious end game thing to do. To give people something to do with all of those tanks at all those tiers that they have eluded, to try and get that tank to the top, a la the ridiculous Hawk 12 that I managed to get to number 6 on the server in a month of playing. All right. Bonds, hey, I didn't mention this, but there's apparently going to be tanks for bonds coming up in 1.5. Right now, on the test server, you can only get the Vic or the T2 Lite, which I think is a Tier 2 American, just to test the capability of it in the UI. But expect to see some tanks. That will be very interesting. I have no essay on what tanks those might be or how much they cost. You'll see I got 10,000, so I don't even know if I have enough. We'll see. What tanks are going to get nerfed and buffed? We need to test ammo rebalances first. Interesting. So those, now there are obviously some being done. The Type 5, the 405, Artie's getting a bit of a nerf hammer, that kind of thing. But in general, it looks like they put a lot of that on pause. Historical battles are apparently going to come back, and they're going to do it PvE. So this whole push for PvE appears like they're going to try to shoehorn or stovepipe that into historical battles. I don't know. Challenges, chain mission events. Current missions within challenge events offer near perfect balance. Near perfect balance. We've achieved marathon nirvana. Ah. Highly skilled players succeed in missions and get a new premium tank for free. Average players, they're terrible and they do okay, but they get a lower price. And those who want to buy it read in crummy bad players buy it right away at full price. All right, I sort of agree with what they're saying. They've done a pretty good job with the marathons. I think they're about right. It's a $50 tank, and you can get it for free if you want to spend the amount of time it would take to make you 500 or 600 in the real world. So there you go. All right. Rapid fire, mastery meter. There'll be a visual. I'm not even gonna go through that. There's a bunch of other stuff. All right, this has gone really long. I think we're done here. Let me sum this thing up and we'll get out of here. All right, guys, I'm at the end of my coffee and the storm's coming. Get down into the shelter. We're about an hour, maybe 30 minutes out. Oh yeah, getting dark out there, so it's about to happen. Remember, TS5 giveaway. People, listen to me. Your in-game name and the reason you did not finish the marathon. Funny, sad, short, long, whatever. Put it down there and I will pick one. I'll pick a winner. Remember those codes. Think about the invite code. Put down your opinion on that. The idea that it's a weekend grind invite code to figure out World of Tanks with a T14, some gold, some reserves, and what else was it? Oh, 3 days of premium. Let's see, remember the bonus codes? I put those out there, and we talked for quite a long time on some of the changes that are coming up. That is all I got. I'm going to take this last sip very naturally. Oh boy. Oh, comedy. It's so funny, isn't it? All right, I'm out, guys. We will see you. Remember, Miserable Monday on Monday. I will see you hopefully on the 18th for a stream later.